This is part 2 of my drop test of the Honor X7C. Now, if you haven't watched or you haven't seen my level 1 and level 2 drop test, go check it out here, and we're also gonna be doing the level 3 drop test. But before we get to the level 3 drop test, let's have a little bit of a rundown on what are the trade-offs of having the SGS drop resistance certification for the Honor X7C. Okay, number 1 on top of the list is the screen. And why is the screen? Well, one, because the screen is a very big 6.77-inch display that has a brighter screen, 120 Hz of refresh rate. Okay, that is all good traits of having a good screen. But then, the screen is capped at 720p resolution, which is a little bit of a letdown on the part of Honor. I mean, considering this is a 2024 release, I was expecting it to have a 1080p resolution, but it did not. Okay, number 2 is the SGS drop resistance certification itself. And why the drop resistance certification? Because if Honor is that confident on placing the drop resistance certification on their smartphone, then it should be included in their warranty for all users. I mean, it's supposedly for all users and not just country specific. Don't you agree? Okay, even without the drop resistance certification, the phone itself is pretty decent. I mean, you have a very loud and clear audio, which we are going to test it. The speaker definitely sounds nice, and let's try playing Call of Duty at the highest settings possible. And here's the result. Okay, so the game doesn't actually allow me to set everything to the very high graphics. I mean, when I try setting the graphics quality to very high and the other one to the ultra high as well, well, one always reverts back to the lower and the other way around. There's always one that is going to be lower. And when I try setting it at the high setting, interesting. I can set it to high, but in actual game, it is quite laggy and very slow. And in actual, it also is pretty unstable. Okay, I can't really play the game at the high setting except for the medium quality. And maybe if I am a casual user, this would be acceptable and I would gladly take the performance of the Snapdragon 685. Just in case I am a power user, this is super insufficient and this is a little bit disappointing. But the battery is quite dependable. I mean, I tried using it for 7-8 hours of continuous usage and it really lasts from morning up to evening. Like when I try opening multiple instances of applications, locations, maybe Bluetooth, and maybe everything that you could think of turning on, it really did last that long. So I was really amazed at that battery. That was one long-lasting battery. Wow. Okay, let's head to the camera. Okay, the phone has a 108 megapixel rear camera. And out of that 108 megapixel rear camera that I've tried around this price point, the one thing I can say is not the best of the best, but it can take a fairly decent shot. Okay, here are some shots that were taken from the phone's camera, and they are fairly decent with good amount of colors. Details is also there. Sharpness, we also have that one, and the photos are a bit vibrant. when you have a proper light source. Because without proper light source, the photos that you are going to take tend to suffer a little bit with more unfavorable colors. So the photos tend to be a little bit darker and lose a bit of that vibrant colors. Now for the selfie camera, we have an 8 megapixel selfie camera that takes a softer image quality. And for the video recording is 1080p and 30 fps. Just make sure you have steady hands or maybe a tripod that you could put this thing on to make sure that you can capture a very nice and stable footage.